I remember asking my piano teacher when I was a kid, why are there so many minor scales for each minor key signature? And how do you figure them out and remember them? I was so frustrated because I didn't understand how to make sense of all of the minor scales and key signatures or what the purpose of them was. And I don't want that to be the case for you. By the end of this video, you will not only understand how to figure out the minor key signatures in a piece of music, you'll also master the 3 types of minor scales and know exactly how to practice them. This is going to boost your theory knowledge, improve your sight reading, and enhance the level of emotional connection that you bring to your pieces. Hey there, I'm Ashley. Welcome to Ashley Young Music Studio, where you'll learn to practice smarter, not harder, which is going to help you achieve a higher level of confident musical expression. Let's dive in. We're going to start by going over the minor key signatures, and then we will dive into scales. How to figure out the key signature if you know the piece is in a minor key. And then I'm going to take you through 3 checkpoints to determine whether the piece is in a minor key and to confidently identify its minor key signature. If you know the piece is in a minor key, it can be pretty easy. Let's say you were at your lesson and your teacher said, all right, I'm going to assign you this Beethoven sonata in G minor. And you go home to practice the sonata and you look at the key signature and you think to yourself, okay, I remember my teacher said it was in something minor, but I don't remember what she actually said. How do I figure out this key signature? Now, the best way to do this is if you have an existing knowledge of major key signatures, because you can always figure out the minor key signature by starting with the major. Now, if you don't know your major key signatures, that's okay. I actually have a video that tells you exactly how to learn all of that. So I will link that in the description for when you're done with this, but just stick with me. It will still make sense even if you don't know your major key signatures. So let's pretend your piece has 2 flats. If the piece were in a major key signature, 2 flats would be B flat major. But you were at your lesson and you remember that your teacher said it was in something minor. And so now we have to figure out what the minor key signature is with 2 flats. So you're gonna take the fact that you know that 2 flats would be B flat major, and you're gonna go to your piano and find a B flat. So once you found your B flat, then you're going to go down 3 half steps to the minor key. So we go 1, 2, 3. And if you're sure the piece is in the minor key, then you can be sure that this is the name of your minor key signature. So in this case, it's the key of G minor. But if you're not sure the piece is in a minor key, or if you really want to reassure yourself and make sure that you got it right, then you're gonna go through these checkpoints. The first checkpoint is listening for tonality. In other words, listen to how it sounds. Let's examine the tonality of this piece called Old French Song by Tchaikovsky. Now, when you're listening, you want to consider the emotional impact. Typically, the major key signatures are going to sound cheery and bright, maybe even a little bit playful, while the minor key signatures are going to sound more somber, melancholic, or just plain sad. Now that you've heard Old French Song for a few seconds, you can hear that this piece sounds definitely on the more melancholic and sad side. However, this checkpoint on its own isn't foolproof because nobody's ear is going to be 100% accurate 100% of the time. And if your ear isn't accurate, your guess might be incorrect. And not every major piece sounds bright and cheery and happy, and not every minor piece sounds melancholic and sad. That's why we have the 2 other checkpoints. So let's dive into the second checkpoint, which is to check the last note or chord of the piece. Now this one is great because you're going to look for the last note or chord in the piece and you're going to see if it resolves to the tonic. And if you don't know what that means, that's okay. The tonic is the name of your key signature. So the Old French Song is in the key of G minor. We're going to look at the last measure of the piece. Now in this piece, the last chord is a G minor chord. So that is now another piece of evidence that tells us that this piece is likely in the key of G minor. Now this checkpoint also isn't always foolproof because sometimes the piece doesn't resolve to the tonic at the end. Or perhaps you had a key change in the piece and now you're ending on the tonic of your new key. That's why we want to go to the 3rd checkpoint. The 3rd checkpoint is to check for the leading tone. Now, not always, but often, if a piece is written in a minor key, you will see the leading tone of that key written throughout the piece. Leading tone is a half step below your tonic. Now, a leading tone will naturally occur in all major keys. So let's take, for example, the key of C major. This is our C major scale, and the leading tone is a half step below the tonic. So we have our first scale degree, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and our tonic. Now notice that this 7th scale degree is a half step below the tonic, and it creates a little bit of tension. We want to go to the tonic. We don't want us to end here. In fact, if I were to play the C major scale and end on the leading tone, it leads you, right? You want to go to the tonic. It's all about the tension and the release. We don't want to be left hanging on the leading tone. Now the leading tone is in a few chords in major and minor keys. So when I play a 5/7 chord in a minor key, I have the leading tone and I don't want to end on that chord. Listen to that chord. It sounds like it wants to drive you back to the tonic. And the same is true in major keys. In the key of C major, the dominant 7th chord doesn't sound like a chord you want to end on. It wants to lead you back to the tonic. We want that resolve. And this is a really important concept, and it's going to come back later in the video, so let's break it down a little bit. The resolution that you hear is not just about music. It's not even just about minor scales or minor key signatures. It's about this common theme in art and in humanity. In any piece of art, whether it's a song or a movie or a book or a painting that you're looking at, we don't want to be left hanging. We don't want to be left in the place of tension. We want the resolve. And this can show up in a variety of different ways. If it's a love story, we want the happy ending. If someone is struggling or going through a big life challenge, we want them to be the hero of their own story. We want the resolution. But the wild thing is that the leading tone doesn't naturally occur in a minor key signature. And so this checkpoint kind of segues us into our chat about the 3 types of minor scales. So as we go through these 3 types of minor scales, we're going to wrap up this 3rd checkpoint. The first type of minor scale is your natural minor scale. Let's stick with the key of G minor, since the piece that we were looking at was in the key of G minor. Now, the natural minor scale follows the key signature to a T. So in the key of G minor, we have a B flat and an E flat. It sounds sad, but it doesn't really create a lot of tension at the end of the scale because, you guessed it, it lacks a leading tone. Look at this minor scale. Here's my 1st scale degree, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. The 7th scale degree is actually a whole step away from the tonic. And so yeah, I don't want to end on a 7th scale degree, but it doesn't quite give me the same drive to resolve to the tonic. And so it's very rare in Western classical music that composers will rely solely on the natural minor scale. Because remember, we want the tension and we want the resolve. We want the happy ending. We want the person to be the hero of their own journey. We want the resolution. And the natural minor scale doesn't really have that. This leads us to our 2nd type of minor scale, the harmonic minor scale. In the harmonic minor scale, the 7th scale degree is raised a half step. Let me show you. So let's do it. We have our 1st scale degree, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Now our 7th scale degree would be this F natural, but we're going to raise it up a half step to an F sharp. And now what happened? You guessed it. Woohoo! We have our leading tone, our half step below the tonic that really drives us and leads us to resolve to the tonic. Let's listen one more time. It's worth noting that the harmonic minor scale is one of the most common used scales in minor key signatures. And when you think back to what we were talking about in checkpoint number 3, which was to check for the leading tone, when you see this leading tone all over a piece in a minor key, it's because the composer is using the harmonic minor scale. When we look at Old French Song, which is in the key of G minor, and we see all of the F sharps, which is the leading tone, it means that Tchaikovsky was utilizing that harmonic minor scale because he wanted the tension that that leading tone causes and the resolve that comes after that tension. Now, the leading tone in the harmonic minor scale doesn't just change the scale. It also changes all of the chord possibilities within the scale and within that key. But that's like a whole other can of worms and a topic for another video. The 3rd type of minor scale is the melodic minor scale. The melodic minor scale ascends with a raised 6th and 7th scale degree, and then you lower them on the way back down. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 6 would be here on the E flat, but we're gonna raise it to an E natural. 6, 7 would be here on the F natural, but we're gonna raise it to an F sharp. 7, 8. So let's listen to that one more time. So now the second half of the melodic minor scale sounds major, and then on the way down, we're gonna put it back to how it was. So the way down on a melodic minor scale actually is just the natural minor scale. Let's listen to it without me talking. Now this scale sounds really cool, and because you have the 6th and the 7th scale degree raised on the way up and lowered on the way back down, it opens up even more harmonic possibilities for composers. As you can see, the topic of minor scales and minor key signatures is a little bit dense. And it's no wonder that when I was a kid, I was so confused about it. And if you were struggling before this video, it totally makes sense. But now that you know all about minor key signatures and scales, I'd recommend that you open up your books and look at the key signatures of all the pieces, even if you're not learning them, and try to figure out, are they in a major key? Are they in a minor key? And if they're in a minor key, what minor key signature are they in? This is going to get you really good at determining if the pieces are in minor keys and what that key is. You can also use key signature flashcards, which I actually give you for free in my video about major key signatures. You can use these flashcards to practice naming all of the minor key signatures so that when you do see them, they come to your mind really quickly. I also really quickly want to give you 3 ways that you can practice these minor scales so that your knowledge of music theory can deepen, so that your sight reading skills get better, and so that you can enhance the emotional quality that you bring to all of your pieces. But first, if you're liking this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so that you don't miss out on any of the content. I appreciate every single person that is a part of this community. And subscribing not only helps you, it helps me put out videos like this on a regular basis. And then put a comment below the video. Let me know what you like about it. I would love to get to know you. So when it comes to practicing minor scales, I want you to remember one word: methodical. The point is not speed. And it's really unlikely that you're going to need to master every single minor scale in every single minor key really quickly. Unless your goal is to go to university or pursue a performance degree, it's just not necessary. And this is where a lot of piano players go wrong. They try to learn all of the scales and they try to learn them really quickly. But it's so much better if you can go slowly and methodically so that your brain and your hands can build the connection with each other so that you can truly master the scales. All right, so you're going to use the metronome and you're going to go nice and slow. I would say 40 or 50. I'm going to actually put my metronome to 60 right now because this metronome is a little bit broken. So we're going to turn the metronome on to 40 or 50. In this case, it's 60. And we're going to focus on one scale type at a time. So we can start with one hand. You can start with 2 hands. I would recommend one hand, especially if this is new to you. I'm going to do the natural minor scale and I'm going to actually say the notes out loud so that I can commit them to memory. Let me show you. G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, F, E flat, D, C, B flat, A, G. The focus here is to get the scales into the 4 types of memory. You're saying the notes out loud so that your brain is engaged. You're thinking about the way the scale feels so that your muscle memory is engaged. You're listening so that your aural or your ear memory is engaged. And you're looking at the way everything looks on the keyboard so that your visual memory is engaged. As you practice, you can also say which scale you're practicing. So natural minor scale, natural minor scale, natural minor scale. And then when you go on to the other types of minor scales, you would say them out loud. Harmonic minor scale, harmonic minor scale, and then melodic minor scale, melodic minor scale. There you have it, your complete guide to minor scales and keys. And it only took us like, how many minutes? I'm going to link the major key signature video here on the end screen so that you can watch it, figure out all the major scales, and get those free flashcards. But also, I'm going to link my free 4-day piano event that is coming up very, very soon. In just a few short months, we will be spending 4 days together in Zoom for free for my event called Piano Practice Lab. If you haven't already reserved your free seat, you're going to want to do that as soon as possible. You'll learn to design a weekly practice routine that accelerates your trajectory toward confident musical expression. It's a great event and it does fill up, so make sure you register now. Happy practicing.